fantasy football season approaching. And obviously, if you've been watching the channel, I've done a bunch of mock drafts and RB strategy type of drafts. He's top players who have great value on the Yahoo platform right now. The first player, Puka Nacua of the Los Angeles Rams. So Puka Nacua, I have him as a top 10 player going into the season. And now on Yahoo, he's ranked 15th going into the year's Puka Nacua. So he's definitely dropped off in the latest update in the rankings, where he was in the top 10 now at 15 overall. We know that Matthew Stafford, he might not be ready for the season opener with the back issue, but still I believe Puka Nacua, even with a downgrade at quarterback, could go out there and get things going. But also as well, there is optimism that Matthew Stafford, he could be good to go by the season opener. So to get Puka Nacua, a player who we've seen so far in his first 2 seasons of the league, go out there and put up numbers, and to get him in that early second round range is good value right now, depending if your league mates take him or not. So last season, and he did miss 4 or 5 games, 79 catches, 990 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns on 106 targets. So Matthew Stafford, we know he's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career, but he's a tough guy, and I think he's going to be ready by the opener. And if you get Puka Nacua, who in my opinion is a top 4 wide receiver going into the season, and many people top 5, top 6 at the position, that's a big get, especially, like I said, in that second round range is Puka Nacua. So right now on the Yahoo platform, he's definitely a great value pick on there in the second round. Next player, another receiver, Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. You get him in the third, even early 4th round range. Tyreek Hill ranked 37th going into the season right now on Yahoo platform, and he even dropped off in the latest update as well. So last season, definitely a down year for Tyreek, off the field issues a little bit. Also, as well, Tua missed the majority of the season with another concussion, unfortunately, and Tyreek finished with 81 catches, 959 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns, but still had a whopping 123 targets. So like I said, Tyreek Hill, if everything goes back to what it was a couple years ago, he's a top 10 player in fantasy football. I know he's at the latter part of his prime is Tyreek Hill. Once you hit 29, 30 years old is when you start to lose a step and stuff. But I still think Hill could go out there. I think he can make plays. And this Dolphin team, there could be a lot of ball games this season they're trailing and have to play catch up. And Tyreek Hill obviously will be a big part of it. So if you could get a talent like Tyreek Hill in the 3rd round, I think that's a definite steal. And that's where he's going in all these mock drafts I've been doing over the last couple weeks. Next great value is Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Mike Evans, I mentioned him as well in the ESPN video that his ADP was way off. And Mike Evans, 1,000-yard receiver every year of his NFL career, 11 seasons in a row with 1,000 yards. The only thing with him, obviously, he's at the latter part of his career as well as Mike Evans. And also, if you don't get double-digit touchdowns some seasons, he struggles. But last year, him and Baker was on the same page once again for the 2nd year in a row. 74 catches, 1,004 receiving yards, and 11 touchdowns on 110 targets. And remember, he missed 3 games as well, is Mike Evans. So if you could get Mike Evans mid-3rd, early 4th round, that's just a great value for a guy that you pencil in, obviously, for 1,000 yards each and every season. And now with Chris Godwin still recovering from the ACL injury and not going to be ready most likely the first couple weeks of the season. Just more targets for Mike Evans, even on I know they got the rookie Emeka Ogago over there with this Tampa Bay Buck team, but I don't think he's going to be a threat. And Mike Evans, he's going to get peppered with targets. And let's say you started with 2 running backs and went with Evans in the 3rd round to start your draft. I think that's still solid, and he's at great value as well on the Yahoo platform. And the final receiver I have as a great value until I go to another position is Cooper Kupp of the Seattle Seahawks. So Cooper Kupp, I've been doing these mocks. If you've been watching the channel, anywhere from the 9th to the 11th round range, I've been getting Cooper Kupp. I know he's going into Seattle now, first season with his new team. Rams cut him loose, signed Devontae Adams, thought he was a better fit at this time. And last season, injuries on and off, and he's definitely lost his step as Cooper Kupp. 67 catches, 710 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns on 100 targets. Now he goes, obviously, to Seattle, like I mentioned. But I think Kupp still has something left in the tank. A few years ago, he was a Triple Crown winner, helped this Los Angeles Ram team win the Super Bowl. And I don't think that quickly he's going to be washed. I think maybe a change of scenery or different motivation. And obviously, I think he is motivated, Cooper Kupp, that the Rams cut him loose and he signed on with a division rival over there in the NFC West with the Seahawks. If you could get Cooper Kupp, who I still think has something left, and he could help fantasy owners, especially as a number 3 receiver or a flex option, it could definitely be a great get, especially ranked 120 going into the season. And like I said, I've gotten him a lot in that 9th to 11th round range is Cooper Kupp. Next value, Breece Hall of the New York Jets. Breece Hall, he was low as well on the ESPN format, was Breece Hall's ADP, and he's in the 4th round as well on Yahoo, ranked 43rd overall. So last season, he was a top 5 pick in most fantasy drafts, was Breece Hall. And last year, yeah, the numbers were down. 209 rush attempts, 876 rush yards, 5 touchdowns, 57 catches, 483 receiving yards, and 3 TDs and 2 2-point conversions. I know people are scared with Justin Fields in there, quarterback, that he's going to run a lot. Obviously, Fields, we know, one of the better rushing quarterbacks in the league. But the thing is, with Fields, don't do a lot of push and goal line vulturing touchdowns, where I think Hall's going to get his touchdowns. And let's be honest, this Jet offense doesn't have much going on right now. Besides, Garrett Wilson is a big-time playmaker who signed the contract extension a few weeks ago, and Breece Hall's looking to get a contract extension as well. So I think Hall this season bounces back. And if you could get a running back who has upside, number 1 potential, Breece Hall, this will be a time to fantasy owners to go out there and take advantage of him on these platforms like Yahoo and ESPN and get him in the 3rd, 4th round range. Next great values, Kenneth Walker of the Seattle Seahawks, another running back that obviously, when healthy, he's one of the better running backs in the league and has big home run ability, ranked 40th going into fantasy drafts. And all the mocks I've done as well, early 4th, mid 4th round, Kenneth Walker's going. So last season, did miss time with injury, but he could catch the football out of the backfield, and he's a bona fide 3-down back is Kenneth Walker. Last season, like I said, missing some games, 153 carries, 573 rush yards, 7 touchdowns, 46 catches, 299 yards, and a receiving touchdown. So him and Hall, both guys who could catch the football out of the backfield. And I think these platforms as well are worried maybe Zach Charbonnet steps in and takes touches, but it didn't happen last season after Charbonnet had some big games and Walker came back from injury. And as long as he's healthy, Kenneth Walker, I think he's in for a big year. We saw what he did in his rookie year with some monster ball games, and I think this year in Seattle, where they're trying to quicken up the pace and it's a new offensive system with a lot of new paces like Cooper Kupp, who I mentioned earlier, Sam Darnold now a quarterback, Metcalf traded off to Pittsburgh. I think Kenneth Walker could go out there, have a nice season, and like I said, a great value in the 4th round. Next play is the final back that has great value, Trevion Henderson of the New England Patriots. So Henderson, he's going to be moving up the rankings quickly, I think, Henderson, within the next couple weeks here on these platforms, especially on Yahoo. Right now, ranked 67th overall is Henderson. We saw in the first preseason game, he showed the electricity, the breakaway speed, and the burst. He had a kick return touchdown in that ball game. He rushed once for 18 yards, and he also caught 3 balls for 12 yards. So right now, he could do a little bit of everything. He's a versatile type of piece and a game-breaking type of back is Trevion Henderson, and they haven't had game-breaking ability in years, is this New England Patriot team, since Tom Brady left and went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going back 4 or 5 seasons ago. So Henderson, like I said, they used good draft capital on him, one of the better backs in college football last season. I know Ramondre Stevenson is there, but Henderson, he could impact the game in different ways in the receiving game, kick returning like we saw in the preseason game, 100-yard kick return, and also in between the tackles if they need a big-time play or think he could handle workload and need a spark in the offense, he could do that as well. So I think right now Henderson at 67 overall, and the latest couple mocks I did got him in the 6th round. It's just great value, where in a few weeks, though, it wouldn't surprise me if he's a 4th, 5th round range is Henderson, maybe even 3rd on some platforms. Next play is Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Travis Kelce right now, he's going real late in some of these drafts, is Kelce, where 80-30's ranked 7th, 8th round. I've been seeing him go in some of these leagues. And now with Rashee Rice most likely getting suspended early in the season here. I think Kelsey could be the number one option in the offense. And believe it or not, last year, I know the touchdowns were way down, but the yards still weren't horrible at the tight end position, 823 receiving yards, and he still had 97 catches, which is a huge number at the tight end position. So I know he's definitely in the latter part of his career. 35 years old is Travis Kelsey, but I still think him and Mahomes are going to be on the same page. They're going to get things going for this Kansas City Chiefs team. They know this offense has to be better than it was last season, and even with a struggling offense, they made it all the way to the Super Bowl until they ran into the buzzsaw of the Philadelphia Eagles and got blown out in that game. But like I said, Kelsey, if he's refocused, this Chief team, they know they got to improve offensively, and I think Kelsey's going to be a big part of it. And if you could get a guy who still has big upside, even at 35 years old, I think Kelsey's definitely a nice value pick on Yahoo, going in that 7th, 8th round range. Next play is another tight end, Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. So Mark Andrews, he's ranked 80th overall on Yahoo. He's going in that 7th, 8th round range as well. And he's got potential to be top 3, top 5 tight end this season. So last year, it was a down year in a way, but Mark Andrews still finished with 11 receiving touchdowns, 55 catches, 673 receiving yards. So I think in the beginning of the season last year, Mark Andrews, he wasn't 100% healthy, coming off a bad leg injury the year prior, and Isaiah Likely was getting more snaps early in the season and made some big plays, including 2 touchdowns in the season opener last season at the Kansas City Chiefs, and also almost a third, but his toe was out of bounds and they lost that ball game at the end like that. But anyway, Mark Andrews, like I said, he still could go out there, he still could make plays, and arguably he's still the number one target in the passing game over there in Baltimore. You know, Zay Flowers, the last 2 seasons since he's been in the league, has been pretty solid. But Mark Andrews, he's a big target. Him and Lamar have the great rapport and the great ESP. They've been doing this for many seasons now. And like I said, especially in the middle of the field, he's still a matchup problem, is Mark Andrews. I know this is a run-first team, obviously, with Lamar and Derrick Henry, the best rushing team in the league last season. But I think Andrews, if you could plug him in that tight end position, 7th, 8th round, that's just great value. So Andrews definitely someone with great value on Yahoo. And the final player that has great value, we're going to the quarterback position, is Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. Goff's been going in the 10th, 11th round range in some of the mock drafts I've been doing. And Jared Goff last season had a big year, 4,629 pass yards, 37 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and even a receiving touchdown for 7 yards last season and the 2-point conversion. So I don't think Goff is going to get as much as 37 touchdowns, but this is a high-powered offense. I know Ben Johnson left as the offensive coordinator, went to Chicago as a head coach, but when you got an offense with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery in the backfield, and then in the receiving room, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who had a monster breakout season finally last year, and then Sam Laporte at the tight end position, you're going to just be bound to put up numbers in this Lion offense, one of the best, if not the best offense, arguably, in all pro football. So I think Jared Goff, once again, goes out there as a good year. Obviously, he's not going to give you rushing yards at all as Jared Goff, but if you could go out there, once again, over 4,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns on the season, which I think is definitely a possibility, and get him in the 9th, 10th round range, that's great value, especially on these platforms where a lot of people, they go for the big-name quarterbacks early in that 3rd, even 2nd round at times, like a Lamar, Josh Allen this year, Jaden Daniels, we could see going that 2nd, 3rd round. But if I could wait, and there's guys in this 9th, 10th round range, a lot of them, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, I've seen a lot in these mock drafts in that 9th, 10th round range, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. So there's a bunch of quarterbacks late, but Jared Goff, I think, is the best value down there. Like I said, in this high-powered offense and the monster season he had last year. So that's a few players that have great value on the Yahoo platform, and definitely guys for fantasy owners to target if you're drafting on Yahoo entering the 2025 fantasy football season.